Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us here on WION World is One News. I'm Molly Gampir. What a day it has been. U.S. President Donald Trump has said that his talks with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un that ended in a joint agreement were honest, direct and productive. Trump said he would halt the war games after Kim promised to destroy a missile testing site. Now, their agreement also included a commitment from North Korea to rid the Korean peninsula of nuclear weapons. It is the first time that a sitting U.S. president and a North Korean leader have met.
It does take a long time to, pull off complete denuclearization. It takes a long time. Scientifically, you have to wait certain periods of time and a lot of things happen. But despite that, once you start the process, it means it's pretty much over. You can't use them. That's the good news. And that's going to start very, very soon. I believe that's going to start very soon. The sanctions will come off when we are sure that the nukes are no longer a factor. Sanctions played a big role, but they'll come off at that point. I hope it's going to be soon, but they'll come off. They, as you know, and as I've said, the sanctions right now remain. But at a certain point, I actually look forward to taking them off. And they'll come off when we know we're down the road where it's not going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. Okay?
And WION has been on ground zero all throughout, covering and getting you the minutest of the details. Our associate editor Ramesh Ramachandran getting us more on what happened.
They came, they saw, and they concurred. History was made today. Two of the most unlikeliest of world leaders, Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, met in Singapore. The outcome, burying the past and working towards a peaceful future. Here's what happened when Trump and Kim met at the Capella Hotel on the Sentosa Island.
Arriving at the Capella Hotel, Kim Jong-un had his game face on. As a mark of respect, the North Korean leader reached 7 minutes before the United States president. In North Korean culture, the younger one should always reach before the older person. With a grim face on, Kim was aware what was at stake. Minutes later, Donald Trump's limousine drove in at the luxury resort, and it was time to create history. The United States president took time to pick his wardrobe to make a statement. A tie to please the North Korean leader. Trump choosing red, a color that North Koreans like. This picture will be etched in people's memories for years to come, as it marks the shift in North Korea-U.S. relations. The shutterbugs went in an overdrive as the two leaders shared a firm handshake, hoping to catch the moment. A one-on-one meeting was next on the agenda, and the two leaders seemed to be at ease. A walk through the hotel's corridors, a wave from the veranda to the media waiting outside.
How's it going so far, sir? What do you think?
And a stroll in the gardens of the Capella Hotel. Kim and Trump's meeting made up for several such photo opportunities. The two leaders also shared a working lunch.
Very nice. Getting a good picture of everybody so we look nice and handsome and thin.
From a traditional prawn cocktail to a beef short rib confit and vanilla ice cream to a combination of sweet and sour crispy pork and Yangzhou fried rice. The luxury resort laid out a sumptuous meal for the two world leaders. Anxiety gone, it was now time for business. Kim and Trump held a bilateral meeting and signed on the dotted line. Walking out, the two leaders seemed confident that their gamble paid off.
Will you be meeting again, sir? What did you see each other guys?
We'll meet again. We'll meet many times. Thank you very much, everybody.
Two temperamental leaders, two world powers, and the optics of the summit surely lived up to the anticipation.
Now, this is a significant first step in the US-North Korea relations. They've not had diplomatic ties for 7 decades and counting. So this is a historic occasion, a momentous, defining moment in world history, one that will hold the region and the world at large in good stead going forward. With video journalist Mukesh Sankla, I'm Ramesh Ramachandran in Singapore for WION. To everyone who witnessed history in the making, the public greeting between the two leaders was over in the blink of an eye. But according to body language experts, both Trump and Kim revealed more than they wanted to through their body language. Here's a report decoding the dynamics between the two leaders.
In their first face-to-face meeting, US President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un both sought to project a sense of command. But which leader succeeded in the subtle game of power play? In the initial moments, Trump did most of the talking, and Kim appeared to listen attentively.
Notice Trump reaches out first. Notice the hand on the arm. That's Trump occupying a dominant position. He's open mouth. It's almost like a child looking up at a 1.9 meter Trump and a 1.7 Kim. So notice how he takes that invisible gulp. Kim is looking a little bit unsure. This is his first time in facing the international media. Trump again taking the lead with the pat on the back, guiding Kim towards the meeting room.
But not one to be outdone, Kim firmly pumped Trump's hand, looking him straight in the eye before breaking off to face the media.
Trump is listening. He's nodding when he hears what Kim has said. Again, notice the handshake, that bone-crushing handshake. You can see both men with a dominant handshake. The whites of their fingertips are all seen.
Kim's first major interaction with the international community also betrayed a sense of awe and wonder as he faced the rapid-fire shutters of photographers in the opulence of the Singapore luxury hotel. Kim's sister and trusted aide Kim Yo-jong was close by. Often called the most powerful woman in North Korea, she was the familiar presence by her brother's side. The US president, who's more than twice Kim's age, then appeared to lead the way to the library where they held a one-on-one meeting. He tried to show who's really running the show by placing his hand on the North Korean leader's back.
Firstly, you can see Kim's expression the very first time when he's looking at Trump when they're doing the handshake. Kim's mouth is a little bit ajar. It's almost like he's looking at, wow, I made it happen. This is it. This is the moment. And whatever it is, Kim starts off more relaxed than Trump, right? Because he has already succeeded in whatever North Korea has won without any concessions. They have not completely denuclearized. So he's more relaxed because whatever result, whichever way the cookie crumbles, North Korea has won.
To the world, it may have seemed simple. Just handshakes, smiles, and exchange of pleasantries between the two leaders. In reality, the two leaders' body language shows that the stage was just being set for tough negotiations before the unprecedented talks. Bureau Report, WION.
From historic handshakes and talking peace to taking a stroll together amid media glare, both Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un had meaningful conversations 4 times on Tuesday. Here's a quick lowdown.
I feel really great. We're going to have a great discussion, and I think tremendous success. We'll be tremendously successful. And it's my honor, and we will have a terrific relationship, I have no doubt.
Well, it was not easy to get here.
우리한테는 우리 발목을 잡는 그 과거가 있고 또 그릇된 국민과 관행들이 우리 때로는 우리 눈과 귀를 가리고 있었는데 우리 모든 것을 이겨내고 이 자리까지 왔습니다.
The past worked as fetters on our wings, and the old prejudices and practices worked as obstacles on our way forward, but we overcame all of them and we are here today.
That's true.
What am I saying?
Really fantastic meeting. A lot of progress. really very positive. I think better than anybody could have expected. Top of the line. Really good.
Mr. President,
We're going right now for a signing.
Has he agreed to give up any nuclear weapons, sir?
What are you signing?
What are you signing, sir?
So we're signing a very important document, a pretty comprehensive document, and we've had a really great term together, a great relationship. Would you like to say something to that?
우리는 오늘 역사적인 이 만남에서 지난 과거를 덮고 새로운 출발을 알리는 그 역사적인 문건에 서명을 하게 됩니다.
Today, we had a historic meeting and decided to leave the past behind, and we are about to sign a historic document.
세상은 아마 중대한 변화를 보게 될 것입니다.
The world will see a major change.
오늘과 같은 이런 자리를 위해서 노력해 주신 트럼프 대통령께 사의를 표합니다.
I would like to express my gratitude to President Trump to make this meeting happen.
감사합니다.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, what surprised you the most about Chairman Kim?
Great personality and very smart. Good combination.
To be a worthy negotiator.
Really, he's a worthy negotiator. He's negotiating on behalf of his people. A very worthy, very smart negotiator, absolutely. And we had a terrific day, and we learned a lot about each other and about our countries. So.
What did you learn about him? What did you learn about him, sir?
I learned he's a very talented man. I also learned that he loves his country very much.
When will you see each other again?
"5,000 journalists and almost the entire world watched and waited with bated breath about what Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un will do when they meet. WION has made things easier for you. We have simplified the complicated political jargon and put together a report that tells you what these talks have managed to achieve."
The US-North Korea joint statement is replete with generalities. It calls for new US-North Korea ties, for joint efforts to build lasting peace on the Korean peninsula, for North Korea's commitment to denuclearization, and for the recovery of the remains of soldiers killed in the 1953 Korean War. But the implications are far-reaching. The reference to new US-North Korea ties does indicate Washington and Pyongyang will establish diplomatic relations. This would have been considered impossible a few months ago when the North was a pariah, a rogue state.
I think our whole relationship with North Korea and the Korean Peninsula is it's going to be a very much different situation than it has in the past. We both want to do something. We both are going to do something. And we have developed a very special bond.
Joint efforts to build lasting peace on the Korean Peninsula hints at what South Korea's President Moon Jae-in and Kim Jong-un agreed upon during their first summit in April. Its inclusion in the joint statement reflects South Korea's priorities. On the key issue of denuclearization, it's clear that Kim Jong-un has emerged the clear winner. Kim Jong-un has given nothing away. Denuclearization is something they had committed to many years ago. What they mean by denuclearization is not explained. There is no immediate pressure on Kim to denuclearize, and President Trump has also given him enough window on that score. More importantly, North Korea, for long pilloried as a rogue state and an axis of evil, will soon join the ranks of the respectable. Its leader Kim Jong-un has had a summit with Donald Trump, leader of the world's most powerful nation. He's also won a US commitment not to attack or destabilize his regime.
It does take a long time to, pull off complete denuclearization. It takes a long time. Scientifically, you have to wait certain periods of time and a lot of things happen. But despite that, once you start the process, it means it's pretty much over. You can't use them. That's the good news. And that's going to start very, very soon.
Kim shows all signs of emerging as an international statesman. Who knows, he may even be in line for the Nobel Prize despite running a repressive and authoritarian dictatorship. Bureau Report, WION.
And just like that, it's all over. President Trump and Chairman Kim met, shook hands, and gave the media what might be 2018's most talked about event. But as is the case with any big-ticket event, the end product was not just about the protagonist, but also the supporting cast. We're talking about China's role here.
China is responsible for the very physical presence of Kim Jong-un in Singapore. The North Korean leader flew down in an Air China Boeing 747-4J6, a specially modified version of the American jet formerly used by Chinese leaders. So why didn't Kim choose his usual Russian-made Ilyushin IL-62? For one, the jet is no longer in production and spares aren't easily accessible. A breakdown of any sort would have proven an embarrassment and prevented Kim from bringing his A-game to the Singapore summit. The other reason is this man. Xi Jinping is China's undisputed power center, the same China that's traditionally been the North's steadfast and longest-serving ally. The Chinese flag emblazoned on the side of the jet carrying Kim was no accident. It was a reminder of the influence China can come to bear on the North, no matter who it's sitting across the table from. Having said that, Beijing will be pleased by today's scenes from Sentosa. China shares a border with the North. It will want last year's browbeating to remain a thing of the past.
The United States and North Korea have been opposing each other and even have been hostile to each other for more than half a century. The summit between the two leaders is a positive development and has created history. China, of course, welcomes this because this is exactly the goal we have been hoping for and have been working towards.
A detent will also open up economic possibilities for China. In fact, Beijing's stated long-term aim for the North is to help expand its economy. Warmongering isn't ideal for achieving that end. In the meantime, the United States continues to be China's biggest rival. The relationship between Washington and Beijing has been anything but peachy of late. Whether the summit's stated goals become a reality or not, China can be counted on to stand by the North as it has over the years. Bureau Report, WION.
Now, that joint statement that the two leaders signed on today, Donald Trump described it as a very comprehensive agreement, and I'm quoting him further, that would take care of a very big and a very dangerous problem for the world. But was it a comprehensive agreement? From fiery rhetoric to a deal that might or might not hold. My colleague Amitabh Revi taking you through what the agreement entails.
Two key points in the press conference that President Donald Trump held was that the North Koreans have started destroying a missile engine test site and that the Americans will stop what he called war games, that is the military exercises on the Korean Peninsula. The joint statement between the two leaders, the key takeaway is in the second paragraph, where there are security assurances being given to the North Korean regime, and Kim Jong-un promises complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. There are other points that interested the Americans that include the return of POW or prisoner of war or missing in action American soldiers remains from the Korean conflict. The agreement will be taken forward by the pointsman, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, in a meeting with a counterpart from North Korea.
And the two leaders surely had a lot on their plates, quite literally. The two leaders broke for lunch after the first series of dialogue. The luxury resort laid out a sumptuous meal for the American president and the North Korean leader. The starters consisted of traditional prawn cocktails served with avocado salad, green mango karabu with honey lime dressing and fresh octopus oison. The main course menu had beef short rib confit, served with potato dauphinoise and steamed broccolini, red wine sauce on the side, a combination of sweet and sour crispy pork and Yangzhou fried rice with homemade chili sauce and soy braised codfish with radish and other vegetables. And that's not all. The spread had dark chocolate tartlet as well and ice cream with cherry colas for desserts. And after weeks of back and forth, the leaders of America and North Korea met at Singapore. What followed was a long and extremely well-documented series of discussions. Here's a look again at the key takeaways and a roundup of the key moments. Take a look.
It was a moment that the world was looking forward to. Cameras followed American president and the North Korean leader till they reached the venue of what was considered an unprecedented summit. And history was created when the two leaders, who had traded barbs and called each other names up until a few weeks ago, were finally face to face. President Trump met Chairman Kim with American and North Korean flags in the backdrop. The first meeting between sitting leaders of the two nations. After almost 2 hours of discussions, the leaders shared a sumptuous 3-course meal, accompanied by their closest aides.
Getting a good picture of everybody so we look nice and handsome and thin. Beautiful. Perfect.
The leaders took a stroll in the park, talking a little better, one step at a time.
We had a really fantastic meeting. A lot of progress, really very positive. I think better than anybody could have expected. Top of the line, really good.
And if you thought that the leaders just talked business, you might not be entirely correct. President Trump took a slight detour to show Kim, once his arch nemesis, his bulletproof custom-made limousine nicknamed the Beast. After the historic US-Korea deal was signed, the two leaders were all praised for each other, claiming to have made history for as long as it lasts. Bureau Report, WION.
And while the world hailed the historic summit in Singapore, netizens could not stop themselves from sharing memes and jokes about the two world leaders. Here's a look at some of them. And it's been a historic day as the two firebrand leaders, US President Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, held the much-awaited summit in Singapore. We're leaving you with these images that sum up the eventful day. Thanks for watching.
Are you also open to the idea of talks with the US anytime, anywhere?
Yes, anytime, but without any precondition.
The confirmation came on WION a year ago. Kim, Trump create history. Bury the hatchet after 7 decades.
It's my honor, and we will have a terrific relationship, I have no doubt.
As world watches the historic summit. WION gets you a first-hand account.
He came, he saw, and he concurred with Kim Jong-un that North Korea and the US must put the past behind them and turn over a new chapter in their relationship.
Kim meets Trump. History or gamble? Comprehensive coverage on WION.